Hello, everybody. Welcome to this latest edition of Snow Talk. Just kidding. Although you probably did think about fall, at least, with this cool weather. Probably not snow. I always think about snow. You know that. But cool weather around the year. That is the headline. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the trends ahead and kind of give you an idea of how things are looking for the month of August. First off, I mentioned about a video blog shout-outs. Check out my Facebook page for more on that. It's Brian Goodwave TV. Brian with a B. I want you to confuse me with Ryan. You can check out my Facebook page, and I go into more detail. I'm going to try to do these shout-outs every now and then. The question today, though, to get a shout-out is, which high school did I attend here in Louisville? Well, Susie Wright got it right off the bat. Thanks, Susie, for guessing it there. Moore High School is where I went in Highview. I did go to Seneca for like 4 days, and I was transferred. Not because I was bad, but I was transferred to my home school at Moore in the Highview area where I did graduate. So, and a lot of you guessed Moore, certainly. Some of you guessed that I went to Kroger High School. Some of you worry me, just saying. All right, here are the low temperatures this morning. The big headline in Louisville, 54. We shattered that old record of 58. Frankfort down to 50, and Lexington, 51 degrees. And the 40s Club this morning, several of you were in that. Lanesville, 47 in Indiana. Corners, Kentucky, Breckenridge County, 48. Bardstown, Henryville, and Taylorsville, all at 49 degrees this morning. Now, tonight's record is 55. We're forecast a low of 59. So at least in the low. Now, how we warmed up so far? Well, with dry air, you get sunshine, it heats up fast. 74, the current temperature. Still in the 60s, though, off to the north and to the east. I think we'll top out close to 80 here in Louisville for this afternoon. The visible satellite does show that we've had some cloud cover as far as cumulus clouds, but so far, I mean, they really haven't developed too much in southern Indiana, but I think that trend will continue for the afternoon. It's an area of low pressure, actually, that's in eastern Canada. We're getting that clockwise flow from that, or counterclockwise flow, I should say, around that low pressure itself, wrapping up around areas of eastern Canada. And that cool flow is allowing for these clouds to flow in that cool weather, certainly. Even some water spouts or even some cold air funnels. I wouldn't rule that out, along with some small hail closer to the low in the Great Lakes area. Not here, though. We'll be okay here. High pressure to our west is building in, and it's heading in our direction. We'll take over starting tonight throughout the day tomorrow. So here's Futurecast for this afternoon. Upper 70s tonight. As I mentioned, right around 60 here in Louisville, and then 50s widespread away from the city limits. And then tomorrow, the 80s are back here in town. 70s, though, in outlying areas. It's still showing a chance for a brief shower. Cannot rule that out. When you get cold air aloft and the ground heats up in July, this is unusual to see this. So the atmosphere tries to balance itself out. And by doing that, it produces clouds and an occasional shower. And that is possible. It could develop. But overall, I think most areas will stay dry. 14-day trend takes us to the 12th of August. Warming up into the 80s as we head into this weekend. And even for the next week, it looks very much normal. Normal high is 88. Either we'll be bouncing out. Upper 80s, low 90s. Those 3 days in the 90s are, I'm talking about 90, 91, maybe a 92. Nothing extreme, but at this point, it doesn't look like a big heat wave. Okay, now the European model is able to see out a month in advance, so this is the way it's looking for August the 10th. Keep in mind, we've had those low pressure, low heights here. It's been stuck across areas south of Alaska for the past several months, and because it sits there, you develop a strong ridge ahead of it, and it keeps heating up across the Rockies and into Canada. Now, it wobbles, doesn't always stay in this exact same spot. It'll back up, it'll weaken, and then strengthen again, move back to the east. It kind of moves all around in this area, and each time it does a little bit of a jog or a move or weakens in intensity, that allows the warm air bubble to kind of shift back and forth, and we get a bump into the 90s, and it backs up, and we get a cool snap, and then it builds back in. We get a bubble of 90s, and you see the pattern I'm talking about. It's been repeating itself over and over, but this has been a big factor here on the placement, as well as the low pressure across areas of Canada, that it's been stuck there too. It's helped. Both of these are helping feed low pressures to the south and east into the eastern part of the country. So at least through August the 10th, kind of a status quo, as you saw there, upper 80s, low 90s. Now, by the 19th, the European showing that there's some fluctuating going on, and that will allow a piece to come down. Another cool snap potentially on the European by the 19th. We'll see if that plays out. And by the end of the month, well, that low is back again and pretty strong south of Alaska. That means the heat builds back in ahead of it. And we're pretty normal here by the end of the month, but we're aiming ourselves for another trough to build in perhaps the first part of September. So we'll see how that plays out. We've been comparing a lot about 2009, the summer then, to the cool summer we've had so far here. I do remember, though, in 2004, when I worked in Bowling Green on television there, that I remember in August I wore a winter coat on the air. And sure enough, when I looked up the data, overall, June and July wasn't too bad. It was pretty normal. But in August, we set a record low of 54 mid-August, several days in the 70s, in fact. At the end of August, near State Fair time, we did heat up into the 90s, which I wouldn't rule that out. It always seems to happen. But looking beyond that, September, October, pretty normal. November was kind of cool and rainy. Our first snow was not until the first day of winter in 2004. And it was a big one, about a 10-inch snowstorm with a record low of 2 above on Christmas morning. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen this year. We're just in that process now. Me and the rest of the team, we're going through the data. We're analyzing, trying to figure out the trends here. There is a cycle to seasons, certainly in weather patterns like this. It's a matter of identifying what they are and what was the trigger and how can we use that to predict the future. That's always our goal each and every year. Sometimes we get it right. Sometimes we're way off. It's part of the deal. But as scientists, that's what we have to do is analyze and try to learn from it and learn how to predict the future. And that's kind of what I'm doing right now, preparing for my winter forecast in October on Halloween and also kind of seeing how the fall will play out. I'm not ready to make any assumptions just yet. Just letting you know that I'm looking at the data. We'll see how it plays out. All right, that's it for now. Thanks for watching the video. We'll see you today starting at 5 o'clock.